modern conservative party more closely resembles a cult, with Trump as their divine leader. Another big difference from the conservatives across the pond is that this MAGA party comes equipped with its own armed faction, willing to act on the orders of the party boss. And we're going to learn more about that on Tuesday as the January 6th committee holds its next public hearing focused on this armed faction, groups like the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, and the Three Percenters, and what they did on January 6th to nearly upend our democracy. But joining me now is former RNC Chairman Michael Steele. He's an MSNBC political analyst, and NBC News senior international correspondent Keir Simmons, who's live from London. And Keir, I'm going to go to you first because, I am fascinated by parliamentary government. I think in some ways it's more stable because the prime minister doesn't report to the public so much as to his party. And he serves in parliament with them, and so they can oust him. Can you just talk about the ways in which that dynamic made it possible for Boris to go?
Well, Joy, I woke up this morning with commentators here comparing Boris Johnson to Donald Trump in the sense that he wouldn't concede, he wouldn't say sorry, and then just a few hours later, watched him here in Downing Street come out and make that resignation speech without ever saying the words, "I resign." It was, in a way, a triumphant resignation speech, claiming that he had a huge mandate from the British people. But here is the point and why he had to go. He had to go because of scandal after scandal. He had to go because his own party decided he couldn't win another election. But it was possible for him to go because he is not a president, he is a prime minister. So when he won that huge landslide election, last election, big as Margaret Thatcher, historic, it wasn't him that won it. He was leading the party. It was his party that won it. It's his party that had the mandate, and it is their prerogative to be able to tell him, okay, it's time to go. By the way, though, they are having to drag him out of that building with clinging on by his fingernails, and the edges of the British Constitution really got stretched. There was talk by yesterday that perhaps he would threaten to call a general election, that the Queen might have to decide to tell him he couldn't do that because his party still had a huge majority in Parliament, was perfectly capable of choosing someone else to be leader and therefore Prime Minister. It will also, Joy, one other point. It's not to say that what's happened here hasn't damaged Britain's reputation around the world, that there are many countries looking on and saying, well, is this how democracy works? Others, of course, would say, well, democracy is messy. But tonight, here in the UK, it looks like democracy is holding.
And